Hello and welcome back to Silver Dragon Crafts, a channel where I make you wait a very long time between videos. Today's video is part 3 of Let's Build 48 Plus Houses. We're still working on the math, don't worry about that, we'll get it figured out. But today we're actually going to build a house instead of measuring and more measuring and more measuring. This house, as good as it looks, we're not going to be building today. We're going to be building the one that was in the pictures at the beginning of the video, and we start by working on the walls. I use foam core for the walls, but obviously this is not from the dollar store. This is from apparently extra strong adhesive R-Us. But I got the paper off, and I suggest you do the same because once you leave the paper on, the paint won't stick. Here I've already measured the beams for the corner of the building, and then I'm going to use my X-Acto knife to scrape wood grain into the balsa wood to give it more dimension and depth. It'll look a lot better than if you don't stain or if you don't scratch it up at all. And then I'll use my X-Acto knife to do the edges so that it's not 100% square and it looks a little bit more worn from the weather. You have to get the ends as well. I use the X-Acto knife and then I use the wire brush. So then I take all those boards, give them all texture, and then use early American Minwax stain to stain them. See, now a lot of people like to paint their buildings after they're done and paint it all at once. I personally like to paint the pieces individually as I go along, and then put it together while they're already painted or stained. Now here's my first attempt at stucco. I'm just mixing wicker white craft paint and sanded grout that you would get from the hardware store. And I'm going to mix it up as well as I can and then apply it to the foam board, and that's going to be the stucco for this particular house. I'll do other techniques later in the videos of this how-to, but for today's house all I did was take the paint and the grout and force it into the foam core, and once it dries it looks pretty good. It's not my favorite one, but we'll go over that later. Now as I apply this, a little word about the music. I did still do the random music. I did 4 keys at a time this time instead of 12, or that was a lot more difficult than I thought it would be. 4 is a lot more simple. Okay, here's another technique for the stucco for the upper floor or the upper half of the building. This is just plain old spackle. You just put it on like frosting a cake. And this is good because it's pink, but when it dries it's white and it accepts craft paint really well. You might have to do 2 coats because it does suck a lot of it up. But this one I like a little bit better than the paint and the tile grout. Yeah, this didn't work out very well. You'll see that the spackle stuck to the tin foil. So I reapply it, and we'll try toilet paper. Seems to work a little bit better, but this just goes to show that I was definitely experimenting as I did this video. So, not like I'm cheating on you and doing it behind the scenes and showing you only the stuff that works. This is the next attempt. This is watered down PVA glue and tissue paper, toilet paper. And you just get it all nice and coated, nice and wet. And then blot out any of the pattern that's on the toilet paper. You can see there's definitely a pattern to it. So I just get it nice and soaking wet. Stipple all the pattern out and wait for it to dry. There's my stippling technique. school, how to stipple. Not really, but I definitely picked up how to stipple somewhere. But that's enough about stippling. So that's our third type of wall. And here's our fourth one. This is fun. This was messy as all get out. Put the water in, put the pre-measured cups of plaster in from Woodland Scenics. I think it's the Hydrocal plaster. It's got to sit for 2 minutes. So there you go, lightweight Hydrocal plaster from Woodland Scenics. I use a lot of their stuff. I use it in the lighting systems that I do. Alright, it's been about 2 minutes. I'll mess around with it for a second or two. Okay, 2 minutes, go! So you gently use your take-out to-go box to mix up the plaster and then fill up your form. This one turned out really well too, but you can't really shape it until it dries a little bit, so you kind of gotta watch the drying time. I highly recommend wearing a white long sleeve shirt too, especially when doing this or when staining the wood. It makes the laundry a lot more fun. So I had some extra, so I did some rocks. But here's the Hydrocal and plaster. Need a little bit better focus. Bathroom tissue and PVA glue looks good. And there's the grout and the white paint. I mean, the grout definitely colored the paint. And the spackle looks pretty nice also. So those are the 4 techniques that we'll be using when we finish up 4 houses. Each house will have a different stucco technique on it. This is where I play matchmaker with the foundation and the stucco. Those are apparently the ones that I'm going to use. The river rock, the hand-hewn rocks, the big bricks, the little bricks. And I think that's, you see there's 4 houses there. We only built 3 that one time. The second house, not this one. This one we built, I remember, with all the windows. This one I had created a long time ago, and I decided to use it for our 4th building. This one we did last time. Bricks are going to be a little bit smaller, not rectangles, more random shaping with the grout and the white paint. And that's a little Thorogood reference. I think that the spackle and the small bricks are going to make that one look pretty good. So there's our 4 winners, our 4 techniques. We got to work through those. Took all the paper off this one. It was apparently very early in the morning because I didn't use the shaker of the Dunkin' Donuts and the rocks from the backyard. I was just squeezing the texture in with my hands. But start out by putting the bricks in layer by layer on the house, and I'll let you watch for a little while I rest my voice, and you can listen to the randomly selected via D4 die music. I do apologize for the background noise. I'm in the basement, and that's the air conditioner. So here we're scraping the texture into the boards that are going to go around the base of the foundation, or the top of the foundation. You can see I've already pre-stained the windows. That's probably just because, well, it's not probably just because, it's because I'm not a really good painter. So I try to do the fine details beforehand and then just glue them in, and that way I don't have to touch everything up and be real accurate with the paintbrush. So all those pieces of wood there are going to be stained and put somewhere on this building. See, I went against what I said, and I went with a gray sweatshirt or a t-shirt instead of the white one while staining, but gray or white, you know, either one will accept the stain and ruin your clothes for you. Notice the spot where I put these stained boards. That was a problem. I got in trouble for that because there should have been a paper towel or something there. Here's the rocks that I created with the extra hydrocal. There's my dog. I use the rocks in a different project in the future. Hopefully you'll be around to see that one. But stay tuned to the channel and you'll see how I use those rocks. Not too distant future. Alright, this board is a little bit different. I cut a little L out of it so that it hugs the house structure a little bit better than just putting a square 4x4 on there. So if you carefully cut one side and then about halfway through and carefully cut the other side halfway through, you can get like a L shape, and that'll hug the corners really nicely. So here's the Jeremy Black Magic Craft black paint and Mod Podge stage. Protect the foam bricks and give them a nice base coat. Here we're just doing the painting of the bricks, a couple different colors because not all bricks are the same exact color. I use various shades of gray to paint random bricks so it looks nice. And then here's the beams with the L cut into them. Glue that one on, glue that one. So you got a little liquid encouragement there in the corner. Don't do that unless you're 21 years of age. Crafting and drinking doesn't mix. Sometimes you wake up and think, oh, when did I do that? And your whole project is ruined just because you had too much liquid encouragement. So I did get brave here and I did paint after I applied one of the beams. I probably got some paint on the beam and on the window ledges, but a few mistakes I can fix. I just hate fixing the whole thing. See, the stucco looks pretty good. So now I'm just going to put all the ones on the top of the foundation bricks. I think I should have went a little higher with the foundation and raised those windows up a little bit, but a little bit late now, but for future reference, maybe put the windows above the actual foundation. Oh, we're cutting over to start the river rock for the next house. Texture that with a rock so that the river rocks have a little bit of texture. tear off the extra pieces and squish them in my hand because it's probably pretty early in the morning and somebody's sleeping. Don't want to wake people up with a plastic container filled with rocks, shaking it up and down like a fool. Yeah, 6:05. 6 o'clock in the morning, somebody's sleeping. Okay, so while I was doing that, the glue dried, and I'm going to try and add some more of the structural framework for the house. You saw that tiny little square that I was using. You can't imagine the little tools that you find when you're walking through the store. You're like, oh, I could use that, or oh, I could use this. I got so much junk in the back room. My wife's ready to kill me. See, but I do use it. I'll have to show her this video. Say, see, I used it, I used it. Now we're cutting the wood for the roof. This balsa wood, nice sharp blade. See, that side fits. That side fits. But I'm gonna bevel the edge of this one so that they butt up against each other real nicely and there's not that much of a gap. Because you don't want water getting in the house. The tenants will be angry. Then we're going to stain that with our gray sweatshirt with early American Minwax. Get both sides and all the corners and edges. Here I'm getting the ends that I cut when I measured, and it was a little bit too long. I had to cut the ends off. So I'm just lightly dabbing the ends of the boards with the leftover stain that was on the paintbrush. Now we're going to glue the roof together. There's our beveled edge. Put it up there nice so there's not too much of a gap. Ah, windows. That's something called granny grating. You can buy that. It's for latch hook or something for yarn work. But I just put some glue on the inside. I had painted the granny grating already. I put it in at an angle so it looks like there's diamond pattern in the windows. This is something that I would usually do before putting it together, but apparently I'm not on my A game today. But a little dab of glue and it'll hold that in there. It'll look like a nice stained glass window, or leaded window, sorry, not stained glass. Here we're just making sure the windows are straight in a diagonal sort of way. Doing a quick cleanup while the glue dries on the windows. And then the next house that we're going to work on in episode 4 is the one with the river rock. So we'll stop here for this part 3 video. Thanks for watching. And if you like what you see, try and subscribe button, like, share, all that good stuff, because it really does help and I appreciate it. So everybody take care. Keep an eye out for part 4. Hopefully we'll get 2 houses in that one. And thanks for watching.